I love this photo because it really represents the kind of work we need to do to become the person we could become one day and be proud of who we are. And we're diving into what happened in your childhood that actually subconsciously influences how you think and what triggers are set off in you. So listen to what she says. This is incredible how your childhood affects you. And it's important for me also to know, as a parent and people under me in our business, knowing how their childhood actually affects them. So knowing how I can become a better parent and a better boss.
One of my first questions to people, especially clients, is what reel made you want to reach out to me?
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking what reel it was?
Yes, of course. It was a reel about you saying why certain people get cheated on and how their upbringing sometimes can be what results in them going into relationships where they're constantly being cheated on.
Right.
And actually, that inspired me not only to reach out to you, but also to create this topic and really, really dive deep into trying to make this like inner voice of ours a little bit kinder and more self-aware.
Yeah.
So I've struggled with childhood trauma from both of my parents.
Okay.
And I've had a lot of emotional neglect. And there was a side of also violence and domestic abuse. My mom was very emotionally disconnected on a lot of ends. And I think maybe if it was her way of coping, she has completely invalidated my emotions whenever it came to me speaking up about the abuse that was going on. And I felt really like what they say, like alone in a big crowded room.
So this is very important. As we're trying to improve as employees or as bosses or as parents, it's important to know that people have things that hurt them and we might not understand why that actually hurts them. Invalidation is a major problem. Telling the person, oh, well, that's not so bad, that's not so serious. This is their feelings. And one of the most powerful things you can do for people is actually give them a chance to speak and to recognize their pain and say, even though I don't understand it as deeply as you do, it affects me, I'm here to listen and I want to try and help you.
My mom was very emotionally disconnected on a lot of ends. And I think maybe if it was her way of coping, she has completely invalidated my emotions whenever it came to me speaking up about the abuse that was going on. And I felt really like what they say, like alone in a big crowded room. Now, what I want to talk to you about today is I've realized now that I'm 32, how much this is affecting my romantic life.
Yeah.
And not just now, but in the past, I'm now looking back and I'm going through these memories and things of exes and stuff and thinking, there's a pattern here. There's something going on.
Yeah. I'm yearning for this discussion. And so I really appreciate you having the bravery to discuss something so personal. And I get very emotional when I discuss these topics.
We do fight about things that trigger me where I feel like you don't understand me. You don't get that this hurts me. You don't get that. And he's thinking, I didn't do anything. Like, well, it was something so simple. I talk to everyone like that or you know. So then I do see it when I step out of it after an argument and I think, well, he's right. It probably didn't deserve that reaction. And then I feel self-deprecating, which takes me back to childhood, in which I was constantly being told that I wasn't good enough. So I became naturally self-deprecating. But now in this relationship, I'm thinking, how can I send the message and be able to communicate that these are triggers for me without constantly feeling like I'm talking about myself and then bringing him down.
But how we know we're similar or not is the level of trauma we experienced as a child, because then we know how, if we've got similar triggers and if we know how to soothe one another. Here's the thing. Parents can traumatize you in two different ways. One can be active, where they actively abuse you, negative, physical, emotional, actually abuse you. The other can be passive, where they don't give you support and they give you neglect and they don't show concern for your emotion. So people, when they think of trauma, they think, well, nobody hit me in the house. But having a parent watching you in pain and not offering you a hand is trauma. Because what happens then is a child has no one to soothe their emotions. When they're going through pain, they have no one to soothe them. So nobody's there to kind of coddle them. So they then have to do it to themselves, and they don't know how to soothe themselves. So they develop coping mechanisms. And what these coping mechanisms tend to look like is very self-sabotaging. What a coping mechanism might be is being incredibly addicted to something. It might be addicted to a person, might be addicted to a feeling, might be addicted to a substance. But it's a way of calming yourself down, but it's false calm. How you know the pain is still there is the moment somebody replicates anything that reminds you of either the abuse or the neglect, you react as if they've burnt you alive. The person who's been traumatized wants nothing more than love. But because it's so unfamiliar to them, when they get it, they're suspicious of it and they reject it and they test it unless they meet somebody who's bad for them. When they meet somebody who's bad for them and is also abusive and is also neglectful, this feels familiar. I know how to navigate this person. I'm going to love you with all my heart. But somebody who's consistent, caring and loving, what's wrong with you? Why are you loving me? This can't be real. So the person ends up re-traumatizing themselves and reincarnating the abuse almost voluntarily. But of course it's not voluntary. It's all like you have like trauma is like a little puppet master that tells you what to do.
You literally just defined exactly what I go through. I literally don't know how to let someone love me.
Well, here's what you do know. When you get abused as a child, you develop a core belief. And what that core belief will be is no one loves you, no one cares about you, you're unworthy, and you deserve this. Because this is what a child's going to learn. They're not going to learn, I hate my dad's horrible. They're not going to learn that because we're programmed to love our parents. Whether we like it or not, it's in us, because if we don't love them, we have no one to save us, we die. So we're programmed to love them. When they start abusing us, we don't stop and think, dad's on a substance, mum is just really detached. We think, I'm unlovable, I'm disagreeable, I'm the problem. So we develop this deep down inside of us, and then we go through life looking for people to validate that belief.
Wow.
So we look for somebody who reminds us that we're unlovable, we deserve pain. When we meet somebody who doesn't remind us of that, that's weird, that's uncomfortable.
So this is very important. Obviously, your parents were just people and human beings and made mistakes. First step, forgive them. Forgive the people at school or whoever did nasty things to you. This is critical. Forgiveness is so important for your healing. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person who hurt you to die. You are only poisoning yourself. Forgive them. But step number 2, identify what was done wrong and who were the wrong people and their behavior to you as a child or in the past, and upgrade that. Don't go and fall into the same cycle of having the wrong friends, dating relationships, and marrying the wrong person because you are actually used to a toxic environment. Upgrade the people in your life constantly.